Hello everybody, welcome to another video. Thank you so much for joining me today. I wanted to take you through my experience of the first trimester of pregnancy. I have never been pregnant before. This is my first time. This is my first baby. And oh boy, was it a roller coaster. It was an extremely intense experience. And I'm in my second trimester now, just about to get to the end of it. And I really wanted to film this video before it gets too late. I've been taking notes throughout my first trimester and I've been reviewing them, making sure that I've not really forgotten anything. But I just wanted to bring it to you to explain, to shed some light into what my experience was. And again, everyone's experience is wildly different. And thank goodness for that, because I really hope that other people have it easier, because it was extremely tough for me personally. And I think there is value in sharing these stories, because I remember in the thick of it googling and searching on YouTube for other people's experiences. I wanted to hear it. I wanted to know, am I the only one that is having such a tough time? Where do we begin? I found out I was pregnant in week 4, and if you've seen my fertility journey video, you will know that it was a slightly underwhelming experience. At that point, I had just moved with Ruben, my husband, to a new place. We moved from London into the English countryside, trying something different, trying a different lifestyle. And that meant that we were experiencing loads of changes, loads of stress to begin with. And finding out that I was pregnant, obviously I was extremely happy deep down, but it didn't quite register the way I expected it to. Anyway, I didn't have any symptoms at that point. Week 4 is quite early. However, in week 5, I caught COVID. Yay. And it was really tough. I was completely wiped out. I had no energy, no appetite. I just remember spending most of my week in bed, on the sofa, just relaxing and trying to recuperate. And in week 6, that's when I started feeling a little bit of nausea, or what I thought would just be the beginning of morning sickness. And it started quite mildly, to the point that I thought, oh, maybe it's some kind of COVID byproduct. Is it some kind of like COVID symptom in some way? And well, it wasn't. Let me tell you that. It started mild, but it just kept getting stronger and stronger. Let me tell you, for me, it absolutely wasn't just morning sickness. It was an all day, everyday sickness. And it was so hard to navigate. The thought of food completely repulsed me. Do you know when people say, oh, you have food aversions, there are some things that you crave, some things that you don't? I just didn't want to see it. I just couldn't stand the sight of food in any proximity near me. And as the massive foodie that I am, that was extremely weird, first of all, to kind of comprehend and wrap my head around, but also extremely frustrating. And don't forget that being upset in your tummy all day is just really exhausting, not just physically, because you know you need to push food through anyway. You've got to eat, you've got to sustain yourself, you've got to sustain the new life that's within you, but also psychologically, it just was a lot to feel sick all the time. And slowly it started. I say slowly, but actually quite quickly it got old. This was at a time when I didn't know that you could phone up your GP and ask for anti-nausea pills. I had no idea. And this isn't just me being a complete newbie. So what I did, I started purchasing basically any grandma remedy under the sun. Ginger and peppermint sweets, tick. Motion sickness pressure bands to put around your wrists, tick. Roll-ons, tick. Sprays, teas, tick, tick. I've literally tried absolutely everything under the sun and nothing was working. Like, even the smell of those items, of those things that were supposed to relieve my nausea, absolutely did not work. And you know, like, you buy these bundles online and it's also quite expensive. I didn't know what the heck I was doing. I was just so desperate to find something that could work. And nothing did. And also, alongside my nausea, alongside my lack of appetite, my sense of smell was becoming more and more intensified, more heightened. And to be honest, it still is now. I couldn't stand the smell of Ruben's beard oil or laundry detergent. There were certain things that just all of a sudden started feeling and smelling to me as extremely pungent, and I felt like gagging. I know it sounds a bit dramatic, but believe me, it just was a lot. And psychologically, this is the part where I just, for the life of me, I just didn't feel at all like myself. I was in a little bit of a fog. I had a lot of ups and downs emotionally, more downs than ups, let me be honest with you. I was feeling sad, frustrated, confused. I wasn't entirely sure what was happening to my body. It felt like there was this turmoil happening inside of me, and I just couldn't wrap my head around it. I wasn't sure what was happening to me, and I found that extremely disorienting and upsetting. Ruben, bless his heart, he tried to be as supportive as possible throughout these moments. And you know, I would cry, I would burst into tears for absolutely anything. Anything would upset me. I was just feeling very sad, very lonely. Bear in mind, in the context of what I explained earlier, we had just moved to the middle of nowhere. We didn't have a support system rightly available to us. So our friends, our family, everyone is far away. So I just physically felt very isolated. And you know, bear in mind, I was recovering from COVID at that point, so there was a lot to it. I also started feeling quite unhappy where I was. I started questioning whether we'd made a good choice moving to the countryside, and that's kind of started a series of conversations with Ruben about, where should we live? Is this the right place? Do you think this is the right decision for us right now? So basically, throw into the mix hormones, nausea, being mega upset, questioning whether we'd made a good choice moving to the other side of the country, and being away from family. I was an emotional wreck, and I couldn't even find joy in the little things such as food. So I just felt so upset. And I remember, again, going on YouTube, searching for first trimester videos and really trying to understand, is anyone having such a hard, difficult, tricky time as I am? And thank goodness I did find some videos, and it gave me that sort of reassurance that I wasn't a complete freak. And you see, I was also giving myself a hard time because I couldn't be happy about being pregnant. I was like, flipping heck, this is such an exciting, beautiful piece of news. It's a great situation I'm so lucky to find myself in, and yet I cannot appreciate it. I'm hating every second of it. And you know, my feelings were really strong for it. I just felt very negatively about the whole experience. And you know, I didn't have a great body image at that time. I suffer from IBS, so you know, I started seeing my symptoms worsen. There was a lot to it. I was feeling really guilty about the way I felt, about the fact that I couldn't be happy and celebrate this baby. And I also felt like I had not had a little bit of time or a bit of space to actually realize the magnitude of the situation, appreciate the beauty of this big piece of news. I had just gone straight from finding out and being ill. It was a lot. And so, as I kind of mentioned earlier, Ruben was being an absolute angel, but I have to admit, being upset all the time and feeling so low and negative and confused and frustrated kind of started seeping into our relationship a little bit. So as we were having other tough conversations on the side, this kind of boiled up into a really bad concoction. And oh my goodness, let me tell you, I was on social media, I was looking at someone else's page and they're pregnant as well, or they were pregnant in the first trimester around the same time as me. And they were talking in a very bubbly way about food aversions. And I remember people in the comment sections were like, oh my god, yeah, I also had such a hard time. And I remember reading through that and thinking, yes, I'm having a crap time too. But my first reaction was to just cry, like my eyeballs out. And I was like, how can you be so bubbly? How can you feel so happy and positive despite it all? For me, it was just very, very difficult to wrap my head around how negative I felt about it. So anyway, I worked through it with my therapist at the time, and I just knew that it was okay to feel the way I did. It was normal and valid and okay to feel the way I did. But when you're in the bloody thick of it, everything seems wrong and you don't know and you feel guilty. But the positive news is that it started finally getting better. When did that happen? First of all, I had my first midwife appointment and she told me, Julia, if you're so sick, did you know that you can reach out to your GP and actually ask for medication for your nausea? And I was like, why didn't no one tell me? And you know, I have some wonderful friends that have been pregnant, that have babies, and they've been of massive support during that time. But it just didn't occur to me to ask the question and it just didn't come up. So anyway, I tried different types of medication and eventually after trying 3 different types, we found one that actually did work. And it was literally my best week ever. I started feeling so much better, not just from the fact that finally I could eat without feeling really, really ill, but also because it just gave me a mental break from feeling sick all of the time. I need to say I wouldn't actually vomit. It just happened a few times here and there. But what I felt most of the time was just constant nausea. At this point we are around week 10 and I feel so much better. My bump is slowly starting to show, and we went to see my family in Italy and we actually got a little bit of a break, just Ruben and I, and it was really, really helpful, very much needed. And actually post week 12, that's when I started feeling slowly well enough to be resuming a little bit of movement. Because let me tell you, throughout those first 3 months, I had done really no movement at all. And bear in mind, I am a very, very active person. I like to train. I like to go on very long walks. I like to be active. And for me to put all of that on hold and focus on recuperating and taking it slow, it was a lot. I want to check that this is recording. Oh, it is, thank God. Almost had a heart attack. So I started feeling a little bit better, which essentially meant that I could start very slowly training again and moving my body again in a way that felt good. And I asked my friend Sarah for help. She's a wonderful personal trainer and a very good friend of mine. So she created a program that would be suitable for me at different stages in pregnancy, and she was a vital help in getting me back up very slowly and get moving again. So in terms of actual symptoms, as I said, nausea, I've been talking about it ad nauseum, tiredness, sore boobs. My boobs started feeling like quite perky but sore to the touch, so I got myself some really comfy bras so that I could minimize any discomfort. I was also very bloated, but again, I'm an IBS sufferer. What's new there? I wasn't too surprised, to be honest. And just generally speaking, I had very low energy. I have to say that when I managed to get around my nausea, I was actually able to also sleep quite well, which I was very surprised about. I'm a very particular sleeper. I have very light sleep and usually I don't get a lot of Z's. But for some reason, around that time, got some really lovely night's sleep. hydration. I haven't drank anything. That's not great. Usually I go through like 3 of these, so like 3 liters a day. This morning I was just so busy getting stuff done, I just completely forgot. This is your cue to drink some water. Do that now. Speaking of, I started peeing a lot. That's the other thing that I noticed. So yeah, I think this kind of sums up the key symptoms that I felt. But what I really have to tell you, for me, the shift in mindset, the shift in my mood into something more positive was very, very apparent towards the end of the first trimester. I cannot tell you how much better I felt post week 12, 13. It took a while, to be honest, and it's not perhaps very helpful to put, specific dates to it. But let me tell you, if you're having a hard time and nothing makes sense, hold on tight, stay strong. You're gonna get to the other side. Whatever you're feeling is absolutely normal. And this is something that I kept telling myself. And that was proven to be true. Things did get better and will get better for you. Again, if you're having a tricky time. If you're having a great time, amazing! Enjoy every second of it. There is no shame, whatever the experience that you had. So, yeah, I think that is it. I actually brought my journal because interestingly enough, should I say that again? Interestingly enough, I used to journal very, very often, but guess what? During my first trimester, barely touched my diary. And literally, as I'm reading my entry, I was worried about everything. Let me read you this very salient and articulate point. It's just been a show of emotions. I felt scared and unsafe in my body, unsure of what to do with myself, and just really have not felt like myself. I felt very disoriented, lost, and scared. I felt so sick. I look at myself and I don't like what I see. Oh, bless you. Oh, I love Ruben so much. He's been so helpful and supportive and loving. It's been a hard time for both of us and we hardly know what's going on. But we continue on and hope that the intensity of this period will wear off and that we can readjust to a rhythm that is more normal. And yes, babe, that will indeed happen. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this little chatty video and this was of help. Please let me know. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Sending you so much love and see you next time.